Yay, you made it. I am so happy that you are here. Whether you found me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, I am so grateful that the algorithm angels brought you here. You manifested me. There was something in your spirit that was ready to hear the information that I'm about to share with you in this class. If you came here, it's because you're probably interested in learning about quantum shifting and timeline jumping. And I'm going to teach you how I went from being broke as a joke, can barely pay my bills, to manifesting $5 million. Yes, little old me. It is a story that is crazy, but it shows you how powerful we are. And it is my mission to wake you all up to the power that lies within you as well. So for the next few minutes, I want you to grab your popcorn, your preferred beverage of choice, tea, wine, beer, whatever, and I want you to lock in, because what I'm about to share with you can potentially change your world. So I first discovered about quantum leaping and timeline jumping back in 2010 when I actually lived it. And let me explain to you what happened. So back in 2010, I was vacationing in Haiti, small little Caribbean island. That's where my family is from. And I was only supposed to go there for 3 days, but I ended up spending 6 weeks there because I was having the time of my life and I was being really irresponsible. But whatever, I digress. So I was really enjoying myself, but unfortunately, every good thing comes to an end. And I had to go back and face the music in Miami because that's where I was living. I had left my apartment, I had all these bills, and I had to go back and, clean up some mess. Well, I really did not want to go back home. I wanted to stay. But I had gotten a call from my sister, and she's like, Valu, please come back on the 9th of January. I'm like, no, my ticket's for the 15th of January. I'm not going back any day sooner. And she's like, please, 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 please come back. I'm like, well, why? Well, my sister was living in Chicago at the time, and she had met this French dude, and he wanted to meet up with her in Miami at my house, and my mom wasn't going to allow her to go to Miami if I wasn't there. So for like a few days, she's begging me to come back early. Finally, I was like, oh, fine. I'm going to take one for the team. And I ended up changing my ticket. So my original ticket was for the 15th of January, and then it ended up changing it to the 9th of January. So I get back to Miami, back to my mess, and I was really sad that I had to go back because, like I said, Haiti was amazing. 3 days later, after I arrived back to Miami, I got a phone call that I'll never forget. I think it was my mom, and she's like, did you see what happened? And I'm like, what do you mean what happened? She's like, there was a 7.2 earthquake in Haiti. I was like, what? Now, because I didn't pay my bills, I didn't have TV. I think my internet was shut off at that time, so I had to go to some place to get internet. And indeed, there was an earthquake in Haiti, and I was in complete shock. I was just there for 6 weeks. I remember calling my friends that lived down there, and nobody was answering their phone. And eventually I got my eyes on the news, and I saw all of the damage and destruction that was in Haiti, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that just less than 72 hours I was there, and there was complete and utter destruction. Eventually I did find my friends and family, and thank God they were okay. But I learned that the house where I was staying at didn't exist anymore. It got completely destroyed during the earthquake. And the one woman that died in the house during the earthquake was my daughter's nanny. So you could just imagine the emotions that I was going through, trying to understand, like, why did this happen? And God kind of spared my life. And the very fact that my sister was so persistent in me leaving really saved me. Right? All because of a dude, right? And side note, how did she meet this dude? 6 months prior to us being in that situation, we were in France. We went on vacation to France. She was living there. I went to go visit her. And we wanted to go out. We're in the streets of Paris. And we see a flyer that was on the floor, and it was for reggae. I was like, ooh, let's go to this reggae club. And we were walking around trying to find this reggae club that we saw on the flyer, and we ran into a group of dudes. And one of the dudes was checking out my sister. And we kind of brushed them off. And then like an hour later, we finally found that reggae club. And coincidentally, homeboy, the one that was checking out my sister, happened to be at that reggae club. And they started talking, and they kept in touch, and, you know, had this long distance thing. And then fast forward to 6 months later, he wanted to visit her in Miami. My mom wouldn't allow her to visit Miami unless I was there, which is why I changed my ticket 3 days before the earthquake happened. Okay, so that's just like a side note. That's just an illustration on how God kind of lines things up for you. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I don't want to leave. But in actuality, it was a blessing in disguise. All right, but that was a side note. So anyways, so after the earthquake, I had this like deep desire to go back to Haiti and help with the reconstruction efforts. It was as if like my mom was wounded and I was her child, and I wanted to go back there and I wanted to help my people out, because I mentioned Haiti is where my family's from, even though all my family now is in the US. But I wanted to go back. I had this deep desire, but I just didn't know how to go back because homegirl was broke as a joke. I had an apartment in Miami. I just didn't know how to go about it. But this is when things started to shift inside of me. So I did what everybody did. I started to apply for jobs online, jobs that were based in Haiti to help with the reconstruction efforts. Almost all of the jobs that I were applying for, I did not meet the requirements. They were asking for like 10 years of experience, your PhD, your master's, a degree in, education. Like, I did not meet any of those requirements. But that desire to go back to Haiti and help with the reconstruction efforts and help people was so strong that I was delusional. I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to apply anyways. And I was very disciplined when I made that decision that I wanted to move to Haiti. So I would go to work. At the time, I was like an ESL teacher, so I only worked like 3 hours a day. I would go to work and come back home and apply for jobs. I would go to work, come back home, and apply for jobs. And I kept on doing that, not allowing the fact that I did not meet the qualifications to deter me. I was like, I'm going there. So I applied and did not hear back. And then there was something inside of me that started shifting, and I started to change my frequency into not I want to go to Haiti. It was I am in Haiti. And let me explain. I started to believe that I was already there. I remember I would be driving in Miami, in Florida, which is like the flattest state ever. And I remember be driving and I'd be like, oh, look at those beautiful mountains. These mountains are so beautiful, right? There ain't no mountains in Miami. But in my mind, I was acting as if I was in Haiti already. And I remember every morning I'd wake up. Before I would go to my job, I would envision myself in this new job. I would be talking to my colleagues. They didn't exist, but they existed in my imagination. I literally would be having meetings as I'm getting ready to go to my work. I would have meetings with my colleagues in my mind of this new job that I wanted to manifest, right? And there was another frequency that I had tapped into, and that was the frequency of wanting to be an ambassador for God. If you've ever been in a situation where you can help other people out, it is the most amazing feeling in the world, where you are in a situation where you are blessed to bless other people. And I tapped into that frequency, and I would feel that after feeling of what it would be like to help somebody out in need. How would I feel if I was in that situation? And I would like lock into that frequency. So I started to, I guess what they call identity shift. Eventually, one of those jobs that I applied to, and I applied to like 100 jobs, there was one that contacted me. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. And that was one of the jobs that I did not have any of the qualifications for. This was a job that was like, yeah, you got to have your master's degree or your PhD, 10 years of experience. You need to have international humanitarian experience. You need to have lived abroad. I mean, I had nothing, but they contacted me back. So they scheduled the first interview, and it was really simple. It was kind of a get to know you type of interview. And then I had another interview with a panel of people, and that's when they asked me like some hard questions. And one of them was like, what's your experience? And I was so raw and authentic with that interview. And I said, listen, I may not have all the requirements that you envision the candidate to have, but what I have that most people don't have is passion. I know that I would do an amazing job in this position because I genuinely believe that it's my mission to help the people of Haiti. This is my family. This is my bloodline. This is my culture. And I want to give back and I want to contribute back. Like, I was raw and authentic. And I think they appreciated that. So they told me, all right, thank you very much for your time. We'll get in contact with you. So I was like, okay. Now, what I did not do was lower my frequency. Even though my physical reality did not show me yet what my desired outcome was, I still maintained that frequency of already having that job or already being in a position where I could help other people out. Like, that was it. Even though my reality was not showing it, them zeros in my bank account were not showing it, I rejected my third dimension. And the key was I maintained that frequency. Any thoughts of doubt that would creep in, I completely shut it down. Shut it down. And I continued on doing this week after week after week. Mind you, once again, I did not have any evidence yet that my manifestation was on its way. But I already was in it in my mind. In a way, they say you first have to access it in the fifth dimension first, and then you have to hold on to that frequency. And you hold on to that frequency long enough that eventually it ushers in like the molecules that will create that experience in your physical reality. But I digress. So eventually, after maybe 3 weeks from that second interview, I still was able to hold on to that frequency of it's coming any minute. This job is coming any minute. Any minute now, it's coming. And I remember one day, even though I was still broke, there was like this voice inside of me that was like, well, if you're going to go to Haiti, you're going to have to buy suitcases. And I didn't have money for no suitcases, but it made sense to me. If I was assuming the identity of someone that was going to be moving to Haiti to go work in a humanitarian response, I needed suitcases in order to pack my clothes in. And I ended up going to the store and I ended up playing the game and I bought 3 suitcases. I think I charged it on my credit card or whatever. I kid you not. The next day, I got a phone call from that organization offering me the position. I was mind blown. I went from being broke, not knowing how I was going to pay my rent, to being in a situation where I was about to hop on a plane and go work for a humanitarian organization doing what I love. You can't make this stuff up. And there were so many other things in between as well that kind of lined me up to be in that position that I was in. One of them was I had an apartment that I had to let go because if I was going to be moving to Haiti, I had to get rid of it. Even though I didn't have any pathways yet, I had to set myself up. And I ended up randomly meeting a woman who was in need for an apartment. She was a single mom, just like me, had a daughter maybe a year younger than mine, and we befriended each other, and I ended up giving her my apartment. So she took over my lease, and I gave her everything inside of the apartment, my bed, my furniture, including my daughter's toys. Because at the time, my daughter ended up moving with my parents as I was trying to sort things out. So it's like God sent her, that woman, who actually is a dear friend of mine now. I love her so much, who actually was in the same field as I. I mean, that was like divinely orchestrated. He sent that angel to relieve me from my obligation of my apartment. And I had the keys to my parents' condo, even though they were living in Chicago at the time. I had my keys to my parents' condo, and I ended up moving in their condo, even though they prohibited me from moving there. They're like, you're not moving in there. I still did it anyways. And that allowed me a peace of mind that I didn't have to have that rent that I had to pay. It allowed me to be at home and really maintain that frequency of aligning to that timeline where I was stepping into my purpose. I was manifesting abundance. I was being an ambassador for God. That isolation period that I had by living at my parents' condo created the perfect conditions for me to maintain that frequency. Now, what's crazy is that, yes, I wanted to attract a job. I wanted to move to Haiti. I wanted to be in a position where I can help others. The feeling of wanting to help others, I think that's what grew so much inside of me. It wasn't necessarily the tangible things that I wanted to manifest, but it was more of being in a position of being of service to God that I think grew. And God hooked it up. God hooked it up. So I got news on Tuesday that I got the job. By Friday, I was on a plane to Haiti. And when I got to my office, they handed me an envelope. And in the envelope was the budget. I was gifted a budget of $5 million to manage my department of education in emergencies. So basically, I got to do whatever I wanted with that $5 million. God trusted me to be the steward of that money. And let me tell you, that is the best feeling in the world. I got to decide what projects we were going to do. I got to decide who I was going to hire. I got to decide where we were going to work. I got to decide everything because God trusted me to be a steward of that money. And in the period that I stayed at that job, I was able to build schools. I was able to integrate around 8,000 out of school youth back into school. My specialty was Montessori education, so I was able to introduce early childhood education in the internally displaced camps, because at the time, the 7.2 earthquake displaced around 1.9 million people didn't have a house. They were living in camps throughout the capital. And I created early childhood development spaces for these children who, some of them never stepped foot in a school. I created parent programs. We developed computer labs. We brought literacy programs. I mean, I've got the goosebumps. If you could see me, I got the goosebumps right now because it was a period in my life where I felt so blessed. I wasn't blessed because I had a car or I had the money. I was blessed because I was like, God, you're allowing me to help other people out. That is the most amazing feeling in the world. The thing about God is when you lock into that frequency of you truly, genuinely want to help other people out, He's going to put you in that situation and He's going to make sure that you are taken care of. When I discovered the benefits that came with that job, I realized that not even my wildest imagination could have attracted that. by creative visualization, because my imagination wasn't that creative. And let me explain. So in addition to a base salary, I think it was like $4,000 I was getting paid per month, because I was moving to a country that was high risk, they gave me another extra base salary per month, just because, right? They also gave me around $1,500 extra a month for my food and groceries. Okay. On top of that, every 3 months, they gave what they call R&R, which is rest and relaxation. They basically paid for my vacation every 3 months. They would pay me for my ticket out of the country. They paid for my hotel stay for 7 days, and they would pay me for my food and essentials for 7 days every 3 months. I mean, you can't make this up. And they would pay every 6 weeks. I would get another vacation weekend out, and they would pay for 3 days of hotel and 3 days of food. It's like, what? All right. So having that vacation every 3 months allowed me to visit my daughter, who was living with my parents at the time. And it also gave me the freedom. Like, I wasn't tied to Haiti. I still was able to travel every 3 months. Okay. On top of that, they gave me a brand new Mitsubishi Montero. If you ever driven one of those, you know what I'm talking about. They're super cool. I don't think you see them in the States. All right. I got a brand new car. And on top of that, they paid for my housing. And I was housed in a brand new apartment. You can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. And I realized that when you align yourself with the frequency of what it is you want to experience, eventually your third dimension is going to catch up to your fifth dimension, because everything that you experience was created in your mind, consciously or subconsciously. So when you start becoming consciously aware of your thoughts and you start aligning yourself to the thoughts, to the belief, and to the feeling and to the frequency of your desired outcome, and you maintain that frequency, eventually it will be manifested into your reality. And I think that I had that experience because I wasn't focusing on the tangible things. I was focusing on my deep and genuine desire to be an ambassador for God and to help other people in times of need. And I would imagine myself, like I said before, how I would feel after I helped someone with food, after I helped someone register their child in school, after I saw a teacher getting their certification for training. How would I feel knowing that I was part of that and helping, being of grace to God? This is how you quantum leap and you jump into another timeline. It's through the present moment. Some people say you gotta be a little bit delusional. It's assuming the identity of the person that already has what it is you want. And I think that when you also make it your mission or your desire to be a vessel for God, that manifestation is going to be a manifestation on steroids. Because God's creativity, we're creative beings. But when you lock into the God frequency, that creativity is another level. It's an absolute another level. So that is how you can manifest a higher timeline. And by sharing this story, I hope that you can superimpose it on your life and think about what are some things that you want to manifest? What is something that you want to align to? And what can you do in the present moment to align to that timeline? Even though your third dimension reality is so far from it. But in my experience, like, my life changed in just 3 months. In just 3 months. And your life can also change as well. You got to learn the secrets. You got to understand that everything gets created in the present moment. And that even though you don't have evidence, physical evidence of what it is you desire, you can still access it in the fifth dimension. And that's manifesting in the present moment. You're manifesting. We're always manifesting. They don't teach us this in school, all right? They don't teach us that we have that creative power inside of us to change and shift our reality simply by aligning to that frequency. You got to think about this. There are multiple timelines. There's a timeline where you're rich. There's a timeline where you're broke. There's a timeline where you're happy. There's a timeline where you're living your purpose. There's a timeline where things are not good. There's infinite timelines where you exist. And what quantum shifting does is you're accessing the power of the present moment to believe that you are in the timeline that you want. And that's exactly what I did by doing the creative visualization, by acting and talking as if I was already in the job that I wanted, by, talking with my colleagues that didn't exist, right? By pretending that I was seeing the beautiful mountains. And if you've ever been to Haiti, Haiti is just a beautiful country. By putting that in my mind and believing that I was experiencing it in that moment, rejecting what my third dimensional reality, what happened was I maintained that frequency. A lot of people have hard times manifesting because they might spend 1 or 2 days thinking about what it is they want, but those doubts creep in and it messes with that frequency. And so they are fluctuating up and down, up and down, up and down. With quantum shifting, you've got to hold on to that frequency, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow. Who cares what your third dimension is showing? Who cares if your bank account is zero? Who cares about what other people have to say? Who cares? You just reject it. It's not your reality. And ultimately, you begin to understand that your internal world is so important, because that is where you're able to align to what it is you want to experience. So I hope by sharing a little bit of this story, you can understand that if little old me could make it happen, you can make it happen as well. You just have to learn how. I got you. I have a class, Reboot Your Life in 40 Days. And in this class, I'm going to teach you how you can hop into the highest timeline. And how are you going to do that? In the present moment. So if you are interested in truly shifting, and if you know that you have a deep purpose, you knew from the beginning that you were put on this earth to do little things, you were put on this earth to do big things, then this class is going to be for you. This class is going to give you the blueprint on how you can step into your divine mission, how you can help others, how you can usher in the new earth. Because let me tell you, the new earth is here. It is here. It's about shifting your consciousness to experience it. So at the bottom of this video, you're going to find information about the upcoming class. Go ahead and sign up for the waitlist. And if you're interested in joining our community, go ahead and sign up for my mailing list, because that will give you information on the community. And if you want specialized, tailor-made coaching, then go ahead and check out the bottom of this video on how you and I can work together to usher in that higher timeline. It will be an honor and a privilege to work with you. And let me tell you, I know what I'm talking about. I understand the power of the present moment, and it is my mission to unlock that power within as many people as I can. I know that there's a lot of good people out there who genuinely want to make a difference in this world, but they don't know how, or maybe they have trauma, or they have belief systems that are not in alignment with that highest timeline. And I'm going to teach you how to break free. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. All my information is at the bottom. If you haven't done so, check out my other social media pages, so TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, because I'm constantly posting information out there. Got to get this message across. Y'all, you have the power inside of yourself. You can create the reality that you want. You got to learn how to shift your frequency. I hope this class shed some light. I hope this class got you to realize that you can be the co-creator of your life. You're in the driver's seat. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time. And I hope that this little mini class enlightens you. I hope it wakes something up inside of you. I hope you access the power within yourself, and we usher in this new earth together. Stay strong, and I'll catch you in the next video. I love you all.